We are joined by Attorney Jeff O'Brien for our weekly 3 and Out, 3 sports stories. During the fall, it's usually, and it is this week, the 3 big college teams, the 2 D1 teams, the Gophers and the Tommies, and of course the best D3 team in Minnesota and probably or possibly the country, the Johnnies, St. John Johnnies. But we're going to have a bonus at the end of this, but let's start off with the Gophers. They had a comeback win over Rutgers.
It was a scary game, Bob. I mean, that's a game that they don't win that one. We always talked before about how, they have to have a 6-7 wins to get to a bowl game. You lose to Rutgers right out of the chute in your conference play, and they play Ohio State next week. They can't make it up with a win against Ohio State. That's
no.
Not happening, right?
You know what? They're not going to.
You have to beat Rutgers. Now, granted, I mean, Darius Taylor was out, so that wasn't good, but. Fortunately they came back, but that was a little too close on Saturday for my taste.
I'll tell you though, they're gonna have a tough time winning 6 or 7 games because they do have a tough schedule, and it's just not. I don't know how good the team is. I will tell you this: I'm weary of seeing, and I see it online, him being PJ Fleck diving into his players in the locker room. I mean, when is this guy going to just realize it's not – he wants to be the show. He wants all the attention on him. How about putting it on your players? He's got to be the first one to run out on the field. He's got to dive into his players. I just don't get it. Unless maybe they love it. You know
what? I'll say this for him, Bob. In recent years, there's been more of his players going to the NFL than previous coaches.
Right.
So he must be doing something they like.
Well, you know what? It's maybe it's making him stronger when they have to catch him.
Maybe that's right.
It could be.
Yeah.
All right.
They have to work more trips in the weight room to make sure they catch the coach on Saturday.
All right. Maybe you're onto something there. All right. Let's move on to the Johnnies. Was it 63 zip?
Not only was there was a big day in Collegeville, so it's their homecoming. They're playing Augsburg at home, 63-0. They did their quarterback rotation again, and both of them had success, so it was another big weekend. But it was also momentous, Bob, because of what they were commemorating off the field or, in between the game. Blake Elliott, who was a member of the last of Gallardi's last national championship team there, was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame this year. I had no idea.
That's a great accomplishment for a D3 player.
He's the first St. John's player to be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. I mean, you talk about that. I mean, I've got some of my NFL clients were inducted into that, right? That's a big. You're right. It's a really high honor. Too bad the coach isn't here to see it because it's pretty cool. But congratulations to Blake, and that just helps overall continue that the strength of that program even after the legendary coach is gone. There's a lot of history there, and I think it shows in Coach Fashing's ability to continue to recruit top talent and the way that they've just been dominant this year. I don't know that their opponents have scored yet.
Yeah, no, they're putting a hurting on teams, and I hope it continues and he gets his shot at a national title because it's a good program. My son, who graduated from St. John's, was at the homecoming game. Even though he's a rugby guy, they went to the game. But the thing about Blake Elliott, most of his career was spent as a great wide receiver, but during that championship run, Gallardi moved him to running back, and he was unstoppable. Mm-hmm. He was, and it would have been interesting. He could have had, I think he would have had a shot at an NFL career, but he got hurt I don't even think he made it to training camp. It might even have been like when they'd have those preseason workouts.
Yeah, I remember that when it happened, when he got hurt. I mean, yeah.
It's too bad because I think he could have been, he would have been one of these D3 guys who I think would have made it. So, Jim Gustafson was a guy that played for your Tommies, right? And he...
Gustafson and Neil Guggemos both came from St. Thomas, and then a friend and client of mine, Brandon Zylstra, came from Concordia Moorhead.
Yep. So, they've done it, and I think he could have if he hadn't gotten hurt. All right. Now, speaking of the Tommies, tough one, right? In San Diego?
Yeah. Yeah, they've had mixed results at San Diego when they go play out in San Diego. I don't know if it's the time difference because it's a later start or what, but they were ahead and then they weren't. I mean, it was right at the end where San Diego pulled ahead and won. This is a tough loss, Bob. I mean, they had one non-conference loss already to Idaho. Now this, we know that NDSU is on the schedule in November. Talk about playoff eligibility. It's all well and good, but I think this team is going to have a hard time winning the conference title if you're going to probably have 3 losses on there and 1 already in the conference. So you start, Drake is tough. Dayton's tough. This is not how they wanted to start their conference season. No way. No question.
No, and this was the first year they were bowl eligible too, which is unfortunate for them. I want to. This is the bonus thing, by the way. The Lynx.
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl Reeve, their coach, went off the rails. She was raging after they lost. Was it Friday night? And she went after the officiating. She went after the officials. Called it she used the effing malpractice.
Yeah.
And she basically said it's got to change, and it's here's the first of all, you knew she was going to get fined and suspended, so she basically blew her team's chance to advance in the postseason because they need to have the head coach there, and she got it was more than just that, but that was the big thing, the way she reacted when she was thrown out of the game. Here's my problem with it. First of all, it was something. It was a dumb move on her part, because how did she think she can come away unscathed? But here's the problem I have with her. What about when Caitlin Clark was getting brutalized and the officials weren't calling it? Where was Cheryl Reeve complaining about officiating then? Only when it affects her team. She doesn't really care about the rest of the league. And I think this is a major, it certainly taints her reputation. She was the Olympic coach, and she needs to be better than that, and she wasn't. It was irresponsible and just a bad move on her part.
I agree. I didn't like I didn't disagree with her criticism.
No, the criticism,
officiating.
She was upset, but you could say, yes, we have some issues with officiating, but not to take it on the tangent she did.
Also, the way she left the court, she was like, you didn't have to be an expert lip reader to see what she was like, dropping the F-bomb to fans on the way out of the arena.
Yes, she also interacted with fans.
Yeah, and it's just like, what was that? And you're right. You have to be, I know that emotions are running strong in these playoff games, but you also have to be cognizant of the fact that what the consequences are for the words that come out of your mouth when you're going into your team is playing, another playoff game. And like you said, she jeopardized your team's chances. And in fact, they are out of the playoffs.
Yeah, they're out. They lost last night. And there's potential there, or presumably was a cooling off period. So that was her cooled off the way she ranted. That was, it was bad. And I think it did cost them any chance of winning. But maybe she figured, we're not going to win anyway. We can't beat this team, so I'll just get suspended and do something really stupid to try to make a point.
That could be. It's tough, for her legacy. Having the previous championships that we've now had the last 2 years. It's kind of like, what have you done for me lately? Last year they get bounced out of the finals, questionable calls. Now this year bounced in the playoffs, questionable calls.
Well, I'll tell you, I would, the new ownership, I'd have a chat with her and say, look, is this where you're headed? Because we can't have this happening. And she should have been working with the league office from the start of the year, even last year, when people or these officials were not protecting Caitlin Clark, and she was getting brutalized. She didn't. This should not be coming up in a postseason game. She should have been working to better the officiating throughout the year, but it didn't affect her until now. So she got to see just how bad it is. All right. Jeff O'Brien, Attorney Jeff O'Brien, weekly 3 and Out with a bonus. We'll take a quick break. The BS Show will be right back.